Hello, welcome back, or welcome for the first time. I'm going to talk about the third book in the Lord of the Rings trilogy. I've already posted videos for the first two. This one's probably going to be a little bit shorter just because I don't plan on talking about the movie as much as I did in the previous two videos. I do plan on addressing the differences and what I thought of them, but I have another project planned for that. If you have any thoughts on how you felt about the differences between the two, anything that you feel particularly strong about, you could let me know. I know what I feel strong about, and it would be nice to hear what other people also feel when they think about the differences between the books and the movies. As for the third book, I really enjoyed it. I think out of the three, the second book was my favorite. I really liked that from beginning to end. But I did also enjoy book three. So book three starts off with the rest of the fellowship and their story, their part of it, similarly to how book two is set up, where you get their whole side of the story before it turns to Sam and Frodo's part of the journey. So we see Aragorn and Merry and Pippin, and then Gimli and Legolas as well, all of their adventure. So it starts off with everyone heading to Minas Tirith in their own ways, and the whole battle there, and then them moving to the gates of Mordor to provide a distraction for Sam and Frodo. So that was I really liked that whole sequence. There are moments that I was looking forward to because I was expecting them from the movie, and they felt even more impactful in the book because we got to see so much more of what was going on and what was going on with each character. And then when it moved on to Sam and Frodo's bit, the last leg of their journey, there were points when Tolkien references what's going on time-wise with everyone else, so you kind of get an idea, even though he's gone back to retell what's going on with Sam and Frodo, gone sort of back in time from where we were before, we get an idea of what's going on in Gondor with everybody else. I really liked seeing more of Sam and him really showing how courageous of a character he is, storming into Cirith Ungol to save Frodo, when he could have just gone on without him. And then the burden of Frodo at this point, the weight he feels, is also so much more impactful in the book as well. I really liked that it wasn't really heavy-handed, the burden before this. He was able to handle it pretty well with references, like some references to like the burden that he was carrying, but it wasn't completely overwhelming him. And then once we cross into Mordor, that's when it hits, that's when it's really, really weighing down on him. And I really liked that distinction, that it was so much more now because of how close he was to Sauron. It really helps the last leg of their journey feel even more bleak and hopeless, even as they try to cling to hope, or at least Sam tries to cling to hope that they can do this and return home. After that, there is a wind down period, and it makes a lot of sense because this is a chronicle of a great historical event, so it makes sense that there would be more wrapping up even after the ring is destroyed, even after the big bad is defeated. There's a lot said about the characters, where they go from there, and just wrapping up all that's going on with them. It was a bit of a slog. I felt like it kind of went on a little long, and it was a very different pace from so much of the series up to this point. I feel like from the beginning of book 2 all the way to the destruction of the ring, the book was moving very fast, or the 2 books, the series was moving very fast. There's a lot of things going on both ends of the journey, both with the rest of the Fellowship and Sam and Frodo. But then, once the ring is destroyed, and everyone can take a breath and a step back, it makes sense that the pace would slow, but it did make it kind of laggy feeling. And I think that that's also because there's not much else that happens in the movies after that. There's the ceremony with the king, and then everyone parting ways, and then there's the end when Frodo goes his own way. There isn't much else really happening after that. But in the book there's this whole piece of the story that isn't in the movie, with the Shire, and you find out what happened with Saruman, that he didn't just stay in his tower and rot away, that he did more, and there was a lot more to his story. And I did really like that last bit with the Shire, where the hobbits come back and they take back their home from Saruman and these brutes, these men. It really shows how much they've changed since they left and how much stronger they've become. And I really liked that, how it highlighted that. But getting to it was just kind of a slog. So I think I was just waiting for the story to end, and it wasn't, and I wasn't really understanding why we were going through all the motions until we got to the end, and then I appreciated that part of it. In my copy of Lord of the Rings, there's a good portion at the end that's just appendix. This much of the book is appendix. There's so much here. So it's kind of nice knowing that I have that to reference if I want to learn more about Middle-earth and its history and stuff like that. So that was my experience with The Lord of the Rings, the final book, Return of the King. Like I said, I do plan on talking more about the differences between the books and the movies and what my thoughts were on that. And I will do that in another video, but it may be a little bit before it comes out, depending on how labor intensive I plan on making that. So which book was your favorite? I'd really like to know. I really liked book 2. I feel kind of equal about 1 and 3. I feel like I want to reread book 1 in particular, because that's the one I had sort of the hardest time getting into the writing style. So I don't know if I just needed to get used to the writing style, or if there is a difference between the way he wrote book 1 and the rest of the books. I don't know. I'd have to reread it, figure out if it's the book or if it's me. It very well could just be me. I'm really, really glad that I read this series, and I'm really glad that I liked it. I was kind of gambling when I got the books, because I got these nice Folio Society editions. I did get them from a used bookstore. I got a good deal on them, but I hadn't read them yet, so I was taking a risk getting these nice copies of books I hadn't read, but I'm glad I did, because I really like them. And if I didn't like them, I could have passed them along to someone who would really appreciate it. But nope, they're staying on my bookshelf. I do have the Silmarillion, but I don't plan on reading it quite yet. I want to wait a little bit. I don't want to tear through all of Middle-earth at once. Well, thank you for watching. Please like the video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you'd like to see more. I hope to see you guys next time. and have a nice week. Bye.